Coach is gonna. I just want to give you a little background on Mr. Martel, who we all know well. He was born in Kansas City, Kansas, and served the United States Navy in World War II in the Pacific Theater, working off a transport ship. Started as a seaman, and after 19 months was discharged as an officer. His education then took him to Rockhurst College and to the field of education. He also, I think Yogi Berra should have been here because he was drafted as a potential catcher for the Yankees, which would have meant that Yogi probably wouldn't be in the news as much. Maybe he had more malapropism. He didn't sign the contract with the Yankees because the service had taken him far enough along. I think, Coach, that it would have taken him too long to get to AAA. So he went into education. He also, as a youth, played basketball, which was his primary sport at St. Mary's High School in Kansas. It was a small school, and there are pictures that you can look at later if you wish of him playing basketball for St. Mary's. They didn't have enough young men that time for a football team. So he was a basketball player initially, and then taught at Bishop Miege from up until 1959, when he, to our good fortune, came to St. Louis, Missouri. And he coached the Junior Bills until 1987, also taught history. As some of you know, I think Bill Connors and Tom Brockman was nodding, and Don. Yeah. So a lot of them were under your tutelage then. And coached football from 59 to 87 with a total of 285 wins. Wow. Unfortunately, we don't have a picture of those. Frank Cusimano, you all know from the news, he went to DeSmet Light, or Jesuit Light, and pictured that one. Yeah. But he does a word association thing on Channel 5 sometimes, and we thought that'd be kind of fun to learn a little bit more about Coach. And so Mike Kavanaugh and I devised a number of questions, and Jane Bierman had some input into this too, and Don, and just some one-word things. So Coach, if you're ready, just gonna fire some things at you. Father Kellett, go.
Coach.
Father Kellett?
Give us a comment about Father Kellett.
Oh, Father Kellett, what a prince he was. I'll tell you, the first time I ever met Father Kellett was up at Kansas City at the Fish Church right across from Rockhurst. And at the end of the Mass, he was saying the prayers and he was just stuttering. And that's when I found out he had that speech impediment, just also.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, just also became a big word in my office when he would always say, "Don't you just also think we need an athletic meeting?" That means bring out the Scotch bottle. Yeah. So I had Scotch for Father Kellett and whiskey for Father Doyle. And then Father Mattioni came from Regis College, and he'd say, "You have to come up to my room. We're drinking all your liquor." So I was invited up to his room, and every time Father Kellett would have a Scotch, it'd always be chipped ice and no water, and he'd always stir it with his finger, and that's how he got the water with the Scotch. So before I had a few sips, and Father Mattioni had a few sips, Father Kellett said, "Louis, you could just also fill this up for me." And Father Kellett's, or Father Mattioni's words were, "Damn you, Kellett, I can't afford you."
Okay.
So that was quite a bit my association.
Okay. Very good. One more, Coach. How about Mr. Tom Dugan?
Tom Dugan. Remember Mr. Dugan, Coach?
Tom Dugan, yeah, and Tom got us into trouble. Remember when we used to play the CBC basketball games in the afternoon? Well, anyway, CBC was having a chocolate candy drive. How many remember that?
I don't.
Well, anyway, this was a big deal for CBC, you know, they made a lot of money on this. So, we had the ball game and some of our students were thinking with their rear end or their elbow, they decided to go ahead and put a big sign up on the gym wall, CBC is candy. So I'm out in the lobby with D.C. Wilkett, and here comes the president, and he tells Dee, get that damn sign down. So anyway, we got into trouble there. I had to get on Tom Dugan, because we don't castigate people like that. So that was my confrontation with Mr. Dugan at that time. But anyway, and I think it was all done in good gestures and things that they intended it to be that way. But it was pretty much of a slam at somebody that we usually didn't do. So, but those are things, you know, you go back and you get to thinking some things that we did right and some that we did wrong. That's why we have the confessional. We confess all our sins that way.
Are you filming this?
I'm filming it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Because we gotta ask you about one fellow from our class who would love to be here, and who you and I spoke of on the way down here, and that's Tom Simons. I don't know how many times he punted against East St. Louis, I just know we did not get one first down. So if you can speak glowingly of Tom Simon, he'll receive this courtesy of the film guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember Tom. Of course, I remember John a whole lot more than I did Tom, because John was a heck of a football player, and he got a scholarship to Notre Dame. In fact, that year, I think we had 3 guys that went to Notre Dame. They were John Simon, Scotty Wiedemchick, and Jack Antone. Unfortunately, Jack was the only one that was able to finish 4 years there. In fact, I just heard from Jack not too long ago from one of my Miege players, and they became good friends out in Frisco. So anyway, they get together and they got to talking about schools they went to. Where'd you go to high school? Well, Jack would say, I went to St. Louis U High. And where'd you go, Dixon? I went to Bishop Miege. Oh, wonderful. Who was your coach? Paul Martel. So here, now, they became the best of friends, and they have dinner at least once a month. And it's amazing, you know, how relationships, you know, start to bound together. So it's really a wonderful thing. So, but those are some of the things, you know, that you go back and you think about, and the good relationships you had with people.